The first thing that you need to do before you go out on a walk, take 2 minutes just to work out, is this walk for me or is this walk for my dog? So I know that everyone says the walk should be for the dog. The walk is for the dog, therefore they should do what they want to do. And that is very much the philosophy that I follow for a lot of walks. I think that is a very relevant point, that you walk the dog for them, not for yourself. However, we do live in the real world, and sometimes we're short of time, sometimes things get in the way, and sometimes we're just not in the best of moods. So sometimes walks aren't always for the dog on that particular day. So on each day could be different, each walk could be different. But what I want you to do is take 2 minutes just to work out, is this walk for me or is this walk for my dog? So if this walk is for my dog, then I can think about, okay, what would my dog most like to do in this walk? Do they like to sniff? Do they like to run around? Do they like to play with dogs? Do they like to go and meet people? Do they like to investigate things, or do they like to do training? So kind of have a think about what your dog likes. Now, obviously we've got to be realistic about this. My dog, I'm certain, would love to go and chase all the cats in the street. I'm not going to let him do that. That's not an option. So I don't mean what would they like to do the most in that sense. I mean what is going to be the most beneficial for them, that they're going to enjoy, that you would allow. For every dog this will be so different, and that's why there's not a blanket black and white of what is easy, what needs doing and what's easy for each dog. So you know your dog, you know what they like doing. So for example, if your dog has had a particularly busy time where they've had lots and lots of people over, perhaps you've had a couple of busy walks that may have been quite stressful, then perhaps going for a quieter place walk for today and in this moment is a good idea. And that could be beneficial for your dog in this moment, because that's what they need. If your dog, for example, hasn't seen many dogs on the last few walks due to weather or timing, or just you haven't come across any, then maybe taking them to a very, very busy, heavily dog populated place would be a great idea. Or asking a friend if you could meet up with them with their dog if you know they get on. That could be a great idea for this walk today. You could maybe knock on the neighbour's door if they get on really well. Do you fancy going for a walk together? Let the dogs have a run. So think about what that dog needs if the walk is for the dog. Now, if you are stuck for time, or you're having to combine things together, so sometimes people have to do the school run with the dog walk, because that is the only time that the dog is going to get out that day, and they would rather the dog got out than the dog not get out. So therefore they're on a fairly tight time limit, because the children have to be in school by a certain point. So the dog has to go with them. Sometimes it's a case of, like with work, you've been called into a meeting, you end up being late and it's going to get dark, so you can't go to certain places you'd like to go with the dog, so you have to do a particular walk. And the dog can always be a bit of a nightmare on this walk. So what you need to be able to do is to communicate this to the dog. The dog doesn't know. So your dog will have no clue whatsoever about what is going ahead, so what the walk is going to be like. And the reason for that is we control the majority of what happens in the dog's life. You think about it. We control when they eat, we control what they eat, where they walk, when they're going to walk, where they sleep, everything really we do control in their lives. So it's down to us to kind of decide this. And quite often it's hard for them to know where we're at, or what's happening, or what's going to be going on this day. They don't really know, because we don't tell them. And we can't just say to them, oh, guess what, I was running late today, so this is what we're doing now. It doesn't work, they don't understand. So we have to find ways to communicate this with them, so that it's not a frustrating walk for us, it's not a frustrating walk for them, and we can all enjoy it. And it can be as easy as possible. What quite often happens is we want to take the dog out, we've got to take the dog out, and we end up being late, or we have to combine it with something. And because we're frustrated and we've got a lack of time and there's a pressure, we then get frustrated with the dog quite quickly if they want to sniff, or if they want to dawdle, or if they want to say hello to the dog across the street, or if you come across something that was a bit unexpected. You might not even have your poo bags on you. If you're one of those who's kind of rushed out, you think, oh, damn. But if we have time pressures, generally speaking, or even stress pressures, it's the dog who often gets the end of that when they are just being them, because it's always the day when the dog would then need to be really, really slow. sniff every blade of grass, wee on absolutely everything. And the reason for that is when we get frustrated, the dog then gets frustrated. And in order to calm themselves down, they will sniff and they will go into displacement mode, which is, I can't see it, I can't hear it, I can't think about it. So for dogs, it's almost a bit like, if I can't hear you, I can't see you, or you can't bother me. Dogs are really great at doing that. You might notice them do it with other things they don't want to engage with. They'll see something and go, oh, look at that wonderful blade of grass on the floor that I suddenly have to care about. That's what dogs are great at doing. So if we get frustrated and the dog starts to sense that, they very quickly switch off. So they can switch off really, really super fast. We're a punishment-based species. So for anyone who doesn't know that, humans are a punishment-orientated species, which means if something doesn't go our way, something goes wrong, in our mind, our default setting is to punish it. Punish it until it does what we want. Punish it until it changes. Let it know we're not happy. That is just what we're like in general with absolutely everything to do with work, to do with children, animals, everything, people, friends, neighbours, the lot. And it's because it's our culture, it's our way. What that can actually lead you to feel like and to be like is someone who waits for the dog to get it wrong in order to punish them. Or if you're a frustrated person, you're not necessarily a punisher, but you're someone who gets frustrated. What you start doing is accidentally over-focusing on all the things that frustrate you and all the things that stress you out, and it makes you get more and more annoyed. So you start to gather these frustrations and you start to gather the stress. And you start to over-focus on the things that the dog is doing wrong in our mind, as opposed to the things that they are getting right. So it causes frustration on both ends, punishment, both ends of the lead. So the dog gets frustrated, you get frustrated, and it's just one ugly cycle. So if you are out on a walk that is for you rather than for the dog, which happens, try your absolute hardest to stay away from the frustration and to stay away from the punishment side. It will be difficult because it will be tempting to slip into it, because that is our natural human default. So you have to really, really fight against it. Being more frustration based and punishment based gives you quite a negative bias. So it makes you kind of view the world negatively. It can set you out for the day quite wrong, and it makes you over focus on that problem. So have a fresh mind each day when you go to walk your dog. Take 2 minutes to go, is this walk for me, is this walk for the dog? Okay, if this walk is for the dog, great, what would the dog most like to do? If this walk is for me, and I know that there's either a time limit or it's because I've got to get my steps in because I'm working towards 10,000 steps today and I've not got the time to do 10,000 steps of sniffy walk with the dog, or I've not got the time to do the dog walk and my steps. So if you have a target or a goal or something you have to reach and the dog has to come with you today, then what you do is you work on a way that can differentiate this for the dog. So the dog knows what we're doing in this moment, that we're not doing the sniffy slow walk, or we're not doing the walk where we engage with every single dog that we see, because that's another frustration that I feel from a lot of people in the group that we're working through. Well, I'm working through with quite a lot of clients at the minute, is that frustration of needing to engage with absolutely everything, which is part of growing up. Also very difficult, very frustrating time, but it can be worked through. The great thing about working with positive reinforcement based trainers and behaviourists and choice based behaviourists such as myself means that what we do is we look for the positive. So you're looking for your dog doing anything even slightly like what you want them to do. So for example, if you're on a time limit walk, then you are looking for your dog moving their feet in the direction you want them to be going at the pace you're going, and you reward that. If you are going, if you need them to be paying attention to you and not looking around the environment, because that is far too engaging for your dog and you know that they're going to get involved in something, then any slight look in your direction, you reinforce that. So you're looking for tiny little things that are going to make this walk much, much easier for you to get your steps in, or to get your distance in, or to get to where you need to be. Now, obviously in the ideal world, I'd like to say, just leave yourself more time. But quite often the reason why some dog walks are for us and not for the dog is because we don't have that time.